Welcome back to the show, everyone. Episode 2 of Weekly Roundup. And we have some stuff to talk about. Some things happened this week. Yeah, definitely. The main focus, or the main thing I took away from this week, is it's just, no matter what happens and what's going down, really comes down to, it really seems like everyone these days just really wants to be a star. Welcome back to the show, everyone. Episode 2 of Weekly Roundup. We've had an interesting week. More adventures in the fourth turning could be described as such. Cultural revolution, what have you. Decoupling of the liberal world order. Yada yada yada. So let's get to it. As I said, you saw the title was "It's All a Big Show," and this week's events really got me thinking about how much of everything is really a show. How much are we seeing is real? And since we live in postmodernism, I know a lot of us have discussed this online of what is real, but things have happened this week that's made me wonder how deep that rabbit hole goes. So as you can see, the opening titles, I had a poster here that I'm drawing for you, and it has a collection of things that happened this week. And well, it's not meant to be one for one person. Some things a representation of fame. Some things a representation of something that might happen. It's not like a one-to-one thing, It's not like a person. So try not to talk about real people too much, but they're public figures. We're going to talk about it. So where was I? What exactly is real? How do we know what's real? It sort of occurred to me a little bit that, and I discussed this a little bit on Twitter over the last couple weeks, or at least put something out there that, I started to get a sensation that some of the bigger accounts that are sort of in our sphere of influence are our side, if you will. The people trying to supposedly fight back, or I don't want to use the term resistance because the left ruined that term, and the ridiculous concept of resisting while they're in power and control every facet of civilization, including getting domination over churches too. But I started to see patterns before. Early on, I can't even remember the timelines now because of this damn pandemic and everything that's going on. When exactly was, I guess 2020 was the riots. And there was a lot of camaraderie, like whoever was speaking out against it, big accounts and small accounts would talk a lot. It was really fun because we got to really mix minds and ideas with people and joined forces. And it was amazing because we got to all set aside some of this. We were against this elitism. We were against everything that we're seeing, that the elites got captured. And so we all wanted to get away with gatekeepers and elitism. But fast forward 2 years and we're deep into this, and while I do definitely think, the vast majority of even the bigger accounts do want to obviously keep fighting, but I've noticed a trend of, I don't know if it's just me, maybe it's just me, maybe my account's turned off a few people. I'm a bit of a troll at times, and can be taken the wrong way by a lot of people. That's fair. I definitely can be. Hard to read tone on Twitter. But like every good intellectual or artist or reasonable person, I have some self-analysis there and question myself of whether it's something that I did. And then it's like, I don't really care that much. I'm really only here to I really only wanted to be on social media to promote my artwork and my comics. But really, it's about fighting for that space to be able to create what I want and openly talk about what I want. So it's really defending that landscape and freedom. But I've noticed a lot lately of the big accounts seem to be really talking amongst themselves now. So what we're starting to see, and I'm hopefully I'm wrong, but this is what I'm starting to notice, is that as it becomes entrenched in this cultural war, like all things, people have become successful and found a niche. As you wake up people, and red pill people are looking for somewhere to go to, keep up to date with what's going on and learn more about what's going on, that sort of thing, or just be in a community and watch and read culture that we're trying to build. So, we're trying to build a culture. There's going to be a two-sided thing to this, as always. So, what I'm seeing is not necessarily a bad thing, but it's a concerning thing, and it could be just me misreading it, although I tend to be right most of the time. And what I'm seeing is this new... what's the right word? I want to say new culture is not the right word. We're trying to build a new culture, but really, here's the thing. Are we trying to build a new culture? Or have some of the bigger names already settled who the big powerhouses are going to be, and we're just the audience here along for the ride? So the bigger question about this is has the movement been hijacked? Has the resistance been hijacked by ego, greed, lust for fame, money? It's a human nature to find an audience and keep wanting to build that and then keep that and there's so many facets to this that I really want to dive into this a little bit. And honestly, I didn't even know I was going to quite go down these roads, but this is the fascinating part about it. So I guess let's go back to what happened this week. So the first kind of big thing that I didn't think it would affect me because, I don't even know why I watched it. So it was like midweek. I didn't see it. Just someone else commented on it and then decided to watch it. And this person I don't have any I follow, but I have no contact with them. I don't know the person. But it was Lauren Southern's video about her time before she took a break from politics. Like I said, I don't know her. I don't have anything negative to say about the person. But I was watching it, and it was fascinating. There's the side of the fascination of the drama, interpersonal dramas, and everything. It's entertaining enough in a soap opera-ish type way, and I'm really not here to criticize that video or to criticize Lauren per se. But I had some interesting, I don't want to call them emotions, but I couldn't really, something was unsettling me about it. I couldn't really put my finger on it at the time. It really took me all week to sort of put my previous thoughts to this after watching that. So basically, if you haven't watched her video, it's a 3-hour-long video. She talks about her times from beginning to end of her political career with some of the figures that were in there and some of the drama that went on there. Being in her words, a little too naive and trusting, and I got backstabbed a few times, in her words, according to her, and got taken advantage of, and found out that some of these big leaders were more interested in their fame, their name, their business, their I don't want to say grift, but that sort of was the intended. It's what you're supposed to think, right? And the question is, was it always a grift? Did it become a grift? Did they ever believe in it? Or were they just con artists from the beginning? And if either or has relevant conversations about where we are right now. I mean, we're back then, I would say, I was in a completely different space than these people. I wasn't even considering anything remotely. I didn't even consider myself libertarian, let alone anarchist. I definitely didn't consider myself Republican and conservative. There was a tiny bit of a blue pill about me there. I was just like, not really blue pill. Because I wasn't awakened to a side of the right that I now see. I still thought of them as sort of just a Christian coalition from back in the 80s and 90s. So I was fighting in a totally different space. I was just fighting from a freedom stance. I guess a libertarian stance. I didn't really thought about it. I wasn't into politics at all. I still don't like politics. And yet here I am talking about it and consuming it. Now, back then there was a fight. I was fighting it. It was in the early stages. But from an outsider, I knew who some of these people were, but I didn't really follow them. I didn't really think much of them. I didn't think them as alt-right or anything. That wasn't really on my radar back then. I thought Milo was funny, entertaining when I did see him, but I thought it was a bit weird. I didn't really get, I wasn't really in tune with the dissident right, as it were. I think at the time I would have thought that was a little silly. But there was a battle, and it was an early battle. I don't think those sort of stunts and everything was the right way to take on that battle at that time. But whatever. That wasn't my space. And we lost those early battles, regardless. So, the question is, though, did these people that she discusses on there, did they gain some success and become sort of that old, that old trope, that old old humanity kicking in gear and taking over that ego, that ego and lust for fame, that high that it gives you of being acknowledged and noticed and making money, and not having to do a normal job. You get to do this and be hated and loved. Like, some people like to be hated. They like that energy, like the tension. And I can see why. I mean, it's not for me. I prefer. It's odd because I'm making a video. I'm making art and comic books. I'm putting myself out there. But really, it's not about me. Part of the reasons why sometimes I don't want to record my face isn't about wanting to be anonymous. Outside of, I do want to be anonymous. It's not that I'm afraid of people really knowing who I am. It's more of, I'd rather be known for my work, for my artwork, and for my ideas. I don't think my face is important because I don't want to make money or become concerned about fame more than having my work become famous. Yeah, I would like my work to become famous, but I don't really care. I would like it for me to be able to make a living off of it. Really my concern. I don't really need it to be the biggest thing in the world. Seems like kind of a headache. All of it seems like kind of a headache when they're famous. Not something I really want to do. Some people, they think they really want it. And some people really want it. But I find that most people that do want fame, they'll find anything that they can do to get famous. And so there's opportunists that want to take a niche, an area where there's a lack. And at that time, there was pretty big personalities on the left, just like there is now, although there's less personalities on the left now. And I think, that shock radio genre, there was a lacking of it on like YouTube and going on the street and activism and doing shows and these characters. And I think whether these people or people like it thought that they were, at the beginning were helping the fight and then became sort of seduced by that, or maybe they're still just fighting the fight and none of that is actually true. I don't know. I wasn't there. I don't care. I don't know them. It's just an interesting concept because I'm seeing a little bit of that now. So what I'm seeing with our movement, you would hope would be very, I hate to use the word inclusive, but early on it was pretty inclusive. It was a group of like-minded individuals all coming together for one goal, and that's the what is now futile attempt at saving Western civilization. Western civilization is sadly no more. And when I say that, everyone gets so mad. They get really annoyed with me, and that's probably why a lot of people unfollowed me or whatever. They think when I say that, it means that everything of Western civilization is, poof, evaporated into thin air. It's not. You have the blueprints, you have the plans, you have the concepts, you have everything that you can use in whatever new system that you want to do. You can build a new foundation based off of Enlightenment ideals and Western civilization. What you want to do is not try to retain the thing that caused this mess in the first place. It's over. We cannot go back to the way it was. That the past is done, and you need to move on and We need to build the future. When I say Western civilization is done, I say U.S. is no longer a country. It's because half the country wants to separate, and you're on the verge of a civil war. When I say Canada is done, because Canada doesn't exist the way it once was. Now, that may be true of every country in every decade and every year. It may be a new thing every whatever. The point is, those ideas and that concept we're never going back to. You can't make America great again because there's no more real America anymore. Now, best case, I wouldn't call this the best case scenario, but let's say, hey, you push back the establishment and they go back into their little hole and pretend that they're, only pulling levers from the shadows again, and you go back to some semblance of normalcy, and you're gonna think that that's you got America, but this is always going to be here. You're never going to just get over this. So these people will not just go back to the way things were and forget. You're not going to forget all the stuff that's going on with the woke, teaching sex education to children in schools, woke nonsense taking over medical industry, the government's forcing, well, I don't want to say that because it might be on YouTube here, so all the stuff that we're going, the burning of bridges, the division, the divisiveness, the power grabs, and the people that put up with it. You don't just go back and carry on as normal with we all share one common goal as a country. This is what the type of people we are. We're separated. There has to be something new. It can't stay like this forever. Can't stay divisive and divided. But you're not going to go back to we're all Americans or all Canadians, yada yada yada. That's not going to happen. Now, in your town, your city, or your neighborhood, you might still be like living normally, fairly normally, and get along with everybody. That's locally, though. And that's what someone like me, as an anarchist, if you don't like that, I'm a libertarian. It's about community and decentralization. Build your community, focus your community, focus on your tribe, your people, and build strong communities through the anarchic ways of, working out differences and contracts and businesses between people, without the state there. If the state has to be there, which I don't think it does, but if people will not be able to exist without a state, have the state be minimized. Anyways, I'm going off on a tangent here. So, it's not going to go back to the way it was, is my point when I say that. It's not going back to, you're not going to go back to the 80s and get your blockbuster movies back and your Rambos out there and think, yeah, we're going to go back to rootin' tootin' America, right? That concept is over. You might have some twisted new version of it if some sort of populism wins over. It's not going to be the same. It's going to be something that's going to divide some of the people that on the other side even more. The tensions right now are too high. Things are too big of a stake. They're on a tipping point, and we're not going back simply to the way it was. That's my point. I don't want to belabor this too much. We're not going back there. So to try to save or conserve things that are no longer there seems quite literally insane to me. So there's a bit of divide maybe just divide because of me. I'm maybe the only one that thinks that this is where we are, but I think it's silly to try to conserve or fight for something that's already lost. I think you should fight for fundamentals of freedom and to make sure that freedom lasts and doesn't get taken away again, and build something new that's built off of the concepts of Western civilization and American Constitution and all that stuff. So I still think that everyone in the movie is there, but I definitely see. I don't know. I don't want to put blame on people because this is just something I'm noticing. It could quite possibly be the algorithms are messing with us. Right? They're trying to keep us from interacting or being interacted with like some of the bigger accounts. But I can't be the only one that's noticed that now there's this new sort of podcast. There's like a podcast circle that goes on. Right? So you go on this show and this person goes on this show and this person goes on this show. And when they're on Twitter, they don't people unless they're going after someone who's on the other side. They're really mainly talking to people and replying to people that's within this circle. And it's all circles of famous people with big accounts. There's no names that I need to drop here because I don't specifically have anyone in mind that I'm thinking is doing this. I don't even know if they are doing it, that it's on purpose or for whatever I'm thinking is going on. But it's happening. And again, maybe just to me, I don't know. But I don't see any of you guys going on their podcast. I don't see any even moderately big accounts going on podcasts. It seems to be only ones that are famous enough and seem to fly around and all be in the same cities and events. And all events and cities and things that you and I aren't privy to or being invited to. I mean, I know that goes along with having a big account, but it's just interesting. It didn't seem to be that way a year and a half ago or even last year. I had big accounts, we had conversations, we had good political debates, and it was fun. It's fun trying to hash out where our side is and what we want to have towards the future. It really felt like we were all kind of contributing to a future that we wanted to build. And now it feels like we have a few elitists that think they're the big brains of the operation and they're gonna hand it off like we decided that they're just got the keys and they're gonna drive the train. Which, I guess all the power to them. But I don't remember voting for that. I don't remember voting for not having a say in things. Not that I need to have a say. I'd rather really just focus on my art, focus on my stuff. But so it's not really it's not a personal thing. It's something that I'm noticing because with the video that Lauren put out, or Miss Southern, I don't know Lauren, so be formal to her. Really just kind of clicked with me that maybe this is what's going on. That maybe there seems to be this clique in this club, and I'm very anti-club and clique. It's one of my most one of the things that repulses me the most. I find the concept offensive. Outside of like a team sport or something, I just find every other club offensive. I don't want to be a part of a group or I don't know. It just it's just like a sign of willingness. It's just like being a citizen, allowing your government to just being a statist, like a willingness to submit yourself to other people's rules that you didn't really agree to. The only agreement that you made is that I want to be included in this club. Well, now you got to do a whole bunch of stuff that they want to do. You have no input on it. You just got to do it. it's not something that appeals to me. It might appeal to other people. It doesn't appeal to me. That's why I'm sort of an anarchist. Probably because I'm Gen X. So, I'm a little concerned that people's voices are being drowned out, and what that does with people that are drowned out is it sort of pushes them down to subgroups and subgroups, right? So they start looking for other avenues to feel heard and to have a conversation about, and then they form subgroups that, can easily be compromised as well, but also the big groups can be compromised as well. You have, maybe 10 people that are all big stars. You got one person that's compromised. You're all in it together. You're not noticing it, and that's when things like that happen, where you don't realize someone's been compromised, or multiple people have been compromised, or that multiple people aren't really about saving society and Western civilization, but they're more about saving their newfound audience and fame. They want to see, the thing about a self-cultivated audience is, if you're a niche person, which I try not to be, I have a little bit of a niche, I guess, but I try not to be a niche, because once you're in a niche, you are forced into that. So if your niche is Civil War fighting fighting to protect Western civilization, suddenly, if your career and your audience is more important, you suddenly don't want to actually win, because then what would you talk about? See, this is the dilemma. It's always the dilemma. We're all interested in it because it's happening. It is really happening. It's reality. We do need to defend and push back the establishment. We need to take on the establishment, and we need to win. But my concern is, have we already been compromised? And I don't know the answer to that. I don't know what you guys think. I have a tendency to overthink things. These are things that I've noticed. That video really brought up things that are in my head. Because you start thinking about, okay, well, how could someone be that naive? Yeah, in the video, she started out as 20. You could understand why a 20-year-old would be somewhat naive. But you got to question, really, you got to start questioning everybody's motivations, including the people that make claims like that. Right? You're in a position now, and you don't know what's real. You don't know who's real. With postmodernism has done a number on everybody. Nobody knows what's real. You really don't. Like, even I feel like I have a very solid foundation on what's going on, and I've been preparing this for my whole life. I've been reading it and seeing it happen for the last 20 plus years. But for certain things, I just don't know what's going on, and nobody can know what's going on. Not with any real confidence. Even if you do feel like you have confidence, then you definitely don't know what's going on. You just think you do. So it's difficult to figure out who's playing who. Who is wagging the tail? Is the tail wagging the dog, or is the dog wagging the tail? And we're definitely in the fog of war here, because you've got on one side an establishment seemingly floundering, and the other side is also their plan. So you have some people being banned off Twitter, YouTube, etc. And then you have some of our people that have never been banned or off any of these things. Some people get banned for the weirdest things. Free Dr. Rolligator. And is this the establishment wanting to keep controlled opposition? Or is it something else? Now, the establishment needs an enemy. So, if it just silenced everybody, well, it wouldn't have its enemy that they used. So, the enemy is used for the right-wing scary people, are used to, like, frighten the blue-pilled. So, that, you say you can't ban them all. So then why ban any of them? The more scary ones should be the ones that are scary. So they're banning effective ones that are effectively waking people up. But is that it? Because I would feel like some of us have woken a lot of people up. And some of the bigger counts have as well. Or are these counts too big to take off the air? They're just waiting for that one thing to get them? Because I feel like they could just pretty much make anything up, because that's what they do. So, I don't know. I mean, I enjoy all the people that I'm talking about. I enjoy their content. But at some point recently in that video where I just can't shake the feeling that everybody involved, everyone in this whole goddamn thing is just trying to be fucking famous. And it ain't about anything, except for some of us who are trying to fight the good fight. And there is one thing that I do not want to do, is I do not want to go out and keep going on that battlefield with nobody having our backs and get betrayed like fucking Julius Caesar. We'll all be in the gulags together, depressed that we let that happen to us, while this new elite just whatever they're gonna do. See, I don't like elitism. I don't like clubs and gatekeepers. You know, not everybody has a small following because of their content lacks. Usually people get followers because another person follows them and interacts with them. They see that, and then that big follower is interacting with this follower. That person must be special. That's how it works. It's always who you know and who's sticking up for you. Now, I get the other side. Like I said, there's two sides. I gotta say, take the other side, is that when you get a certain big following, you gotta vet people. You're getting inundated with trolls and people trying to infiltrate you. So that's the other side. The other side is that, of course, they gotta do this. Of course, they can't just interact with anybody. And they don't have time. They get so many messages because they have such a big following and their busy schedules. They can't remember even the people that have been there since day one, interacting with them. There's just too many. You can't have your notifications on. You're getting thousands of, messages a day. I get that too. I, for one, am terrible at responding to people I have interpersonal issues. I really enjoy people. I really do appreciate all the people that are in my life. I love them dearly, but I'm really bad at reaching out or replying sometimes. I usually reply, but I'm bad at reaching out. I'm bad at doing that first conversational piece, you know? I will respond and welcome most of the people that I love or I know with open arms, and I'm very loving that way. But I'm very bad, and I'm trying to change that aspect of myself of opening up. I also am busy a lot. I'm doing a lot of work here. I'm doing my second book. I have another book on the mind. I want to write another book while I'm working full time, and I'm also doing videos, and I'm on Twitter and social media. So yeah, I get that it's busy. I can't respond to everybody. They can't either. So it makes sense. You're gonna go onto you want to amplify our message. You want to amplify everything. You want to amplify and get to as many blue pill people as you can. Reinforce our our lines, and try to get to as many people out there and wake them up. Makes sense. It's not just about fame. It's not just about an elite club. Yeah, both sides make sense. I don't know. Just something that I noticed, something that's been bothering me a little bit. Something to keep an eye on. That being said, if we win, they take over. As long as I get freedom, we get freedom, they leave us alone. I don't really care. But for people who put their trust in them, we on this side got to be a little careful. So we're trying to build a culture. Here's the thing: is that we're now getting big. You got Daily Wire, you got Tim Pool's got growing an establishment, and you've got a few other places. We're now going to be quickly at a point as we're building culture that we're only going to have a few avenues to get some of us little people with little audiences that are trying to make a name to get noticed. This is the problem with big accounts. It's not their fault necessarily. I don't think they're doing it intentionally. Some are, though, and this is where I'm coming from. The big accounts are like a big body, right? It's got a lot of mass, and it sucks a lot of attention and gravity towards you. So it's very difficult for anyone else that's somewhere else that is a smaller body to even get any. And it has no gravity. You're not pulling attention into you. The big names suck all the attention. So we're just going into a new cycle of the big names all dominate the market. And I don't really have an answer to how to fix that other than just we got to keep doing our things. But we got to, we do have to guard a little bit about ourselves of not putting all of our attention into one or two or three places. Support who you like, who you need to do, yada yada yada. But you got to remember to support the people who are actually going to create the culture, who are going to write the stories. So, a perfect example. So the rest of this, we'll go into more weeks. We got Eric July, anarchist. Again, I don't know any of these people. I don't really interact with them. I follow them, but he's also just launched a comic book company, it looks like, and first issue went in, I guess, fundraiser. And at this point of me recording this, I think they raised like $2.7 million or something already. It's amazing. It's a good sign for independent creators that can make it. I want to congratulate him. I'm super excited about it. I'm super happy that he's doing it. Really, on one side, is very inspiring for other people. Now, he's built an audience, and it's all, he's worked hard at it. But again, you have an audience, and you can do that. So the rest of us have to sort of build an audience if that's what we want to do. So, it gets difficult to when a few people do it and get really successful. So you would want it to trickle down, but it doesn't really trickle down all that much. So there's probably ways, and we shouldn't blame successful people. I think it's incredibly amazing they did it, and we need more of it. That's my point. We need more of it. We want more success, more people, more names. We don't want to rely on excuse me, 5 or 6 or a handful or a dozen people. We want more people. We want more leaders. We want more culture. We want more stories. We want more variety. That's what we want. We want a big plethora of talent coming to the forefront. So we really need to break down a lot of the gatekeepings. We need to inundate the world with some of our stories or culture or music or things. So yeah, we need to guard against new gatekeepers, new elitism, and celebrate when someone does make it big. So I know a lot of people are going to be very excited about this. One, they get to read some awesome new comics that aren't corrupted by woke or corporate politics. And that's the direction we want society to go, right? Get out of this corporatism. Get into the individual, independent creators. Free thinking, free thought. Free to tell the stories that you want to do. Excuse me. Yeah, so congratulations to him. I included him on the poster. And of course, the other thing that happened this week, big Latina booty. Right, so that was fun. Nothing better than so it's Alex Stein, I think is his name. Trolled AOC on the steps of Congress, and she just fell right into the trap. Right into a trap. Like, it was a clear, obvious trap. And she can't contain herself because, again, she wants to be famous. She is everything that... She is just fame. So we're in this society, and it's always been a little bit like this. Like, people always wanted to be famous, become actors, yada yada. We all have this cell phone generation, and this Instagram generation, and TikTok generation. She's literally a candidate for TikTok and Instagram. She plays up the social media thing that gets popular. That's where, if on a trajectory, this is where we're heading, where it's just going to be personalities, not policies, ideas. It's going to be personalities. It's going to be big personalities. They're going to rise, they're going to fall. They're going to rise fast, and they're going to fall fast. Because everyone wants to tear down people who are successful. And here's the thing with social media and being open. The state and the establishment almost have a point in wanting to limit this. Almost. Hear me out. I don't believe they do. But when you're so accessible to everybody that is your audience, there's a higher risk of those people wanting to tear you down and having the ability to tear you down. So you used to have like a big buffer with old media, with corporate media. I couldn't get to you. You'd have to write to your publisher or write to the station or write to the company that you work for. They got a direct one-on-one relationship with you. And there's a lot of people out there that can find out everything about you online. So your big personalities are going to rise fast and they're going to fall. And you're going to start seeing people, which I think quite possibly in the video that I was mentioning about Lauren Southern was a soft rebranding. So you're going to see people realign. They're going to learn this lesson of go too big, too fast, become too bright, and be a little too flamboyant. You got a name, now you got a thing, now you got to tone it down. You know, now you got to come back. And it's a very old establishment trick. Get noticed, and then tone it down. It's almost a rebrand. Not quite a full-on rebrand, but just a retone. And I'm going to tone it down. I'm going to go over here, and you're going to try and take some of that pressure off from where you came from, where you're not as big a personality. Because if you have a big personality, the big personalities are going to crash way faster than they used to. You know, there's too much of an avenue of too much dirt on everybody. Everybody wants to co-mingle, and you get into these circles that I'm talking about, and everybody's talking to each other, and you're dating each other, and you're sleeping with each other, and you're telling each other your secrets. It's like an office space, but you're all like 20 creators, 20 leaders of a movement who have hundreds of thousands of followers or millions of followers, and you could be taken down by any one person, and you're compromised. It's not a great position to put yourself in. So you rebrand. So you get yourself out of some of those situations where you might put yourself into having to be asked. So you segue out of certain circles into more circles, and you start the whole process over again. But you're gonna have these big rises and big falls. This is what I foresee. If things keep going this way, you're just gonna see people going up, people coming down. Or you're gonna see an entrenched new establishment, which again we don't want. I don't want a new establishment. I don't want new elites. So those are sort of my concerns. I also included on here, obviously, the farmers. So the Dutch farmers, I believe, Netherlands. But the farmers' protests. Not many people are talking about it. We have some tweets out there. It's a big protest. Got to support them. So I wanted to throw that in there because this is one of the big moves by the establishment that's either going to be their overconfidence or play right into their hands. They want to take land away from farmers and starve people. It's going to, this is going to kill millions of people. So these are the things that we should be talking about. And probably what I should be talking about more, but I think both are concerned. We're not talking about this. We can't really talk about this if what I'm saying before is somewhat accurate. Because we gotta make sure our house is in order, and we gotta take care of the establishment's house. We gotta take that out. So good for them. Behind them a whole bunch. We need to see more of it. We need to take back our land. We need to take back the farms, and we need to keep feeding the world. I'm not eating bugs. Not eating bugs, alright? Not eating fucking bugs. And if I see anyone else or hear anyone else eating bugs, I'm gonna lose my crap. Alright? So no bugs. Nah. Nope. Nada. And then so this is very important because I definitely don't want to eat bugs. I have like the worst. Used to be a really picky eater, but there are some things that I just will not eat because they gross the hell out of me. Bugs is one of them. Right? So don't fucking give me bugs. I will not eat fucking bugs. So you can go, whatever. I'd rather go to the gulag or get shot. So, the other thing I have on here, of course, the James Webb Telescope. That a lot of my YouTube stuff, other than art, I wanted to talk about science. Last week I talked about, obviously, my theory of our dimensions our universes being collapsing and going to other ones. I love talking about science. Saw some great photographs from the new James Webb Telescope. It's pretty exciting for me. There was only a couple pictures. I'm really more interested in wanting to get some data from exoplanets and stuff and see what their atmospheres and get some evidence of possibly life and maybe alien life. I think that would be fascinating. Something non-political to look forward to. Although I'm sure that's political too. So I wanted to throw that on there because it was more of a fun thing to talk about this week. But that being said, I'm going here almost an hour. I won't take up too much of your more time. I think I got what I wanted to say out. So I'm going to call it. All right. Well, till next week. Peace.